Did you ever feel like the mall was a second home growing up? Before everything moved online, before shopping became a click away, there was something about walking through those mall doors that felt like magic. The sounds, the smells, the excitement of seeing your favorite stores and spending your hard-earned allowance on something you absolutely needed. Well, grab your mall food court snack because today we're taking a stroll down memory lane to remember mall stores that we once loved but are no longer with us. KB Toys. Remember the magic of KB Toys? That store was every kid's dream. A paradise in the middle of the mall. Whether it was your birthday, Christmas, or just a random weekend, KB Toys was the place to be. You could spend hours there, playing with the toy cars, action figures, or testing out the newest video games. The aisles were packed with the hottest toys of the day, from Furby and Beanie Babies to those coveted Pokemon cards. I mean, KB Toys was where your parents would leave you for what felt like an eternity while they shopped for their own things, right? But then, the internet and big box stores like Target started making things more accessible, and KB just couldn't compete. It closed its doors in 2009, and with it went a huge piece of our childhoods. Borders, books and music. Ah, Borders. There was something special about walking into that store, wasn't there? It wasn't just a place to buy books. It was a whole experience. The aisles of glossy magazines, shelves lined with novels, and the smell of fresh coffee in the air from the cafe section. It was a sanctuary for book lovers. Do you remember the thrill of picking out a book and then just sitting down in one of those overstuffed chairs, completely losing track of time? And for the music lovers, Borders had CDs. Not just the bestsellers, but also those obscure bands you couldn't find anywhere else. But, as we all know, the digital age came crashing through with ebooks, and that iconic cafe smell couldn't keep them afloat. By 2011, Borders was out of business, and the world lost a place that felt like it was made for people like us, those who loved getting lost in the pages of a book or a new album. Before we continue, kindly take a moment to hit the subscribe button. Less than 1% of our viewers are subscribed, and by joining the community, you'll encourage us to keep creating videos like this. Thanks for your support. The Limited. Now, that was the store you went to when you wanted to feel fancy. If you were heading to a special event, a school dance, or just wanted to look sharp for the weekend, The Limited had everything. It had that perfect balance of trendy and classy, with stylish blazers, pencil skirts, and dresses that made you feel like you had your life together, at least for a moment. And the fragrance. Every time you walked in, there was this crisp, sophisticated scent that made you feel like you were stepping into something important. But as the retail landscape shifted and fast fashion took over, The Limited just couldn't keep up. In 2017, it closed its doors for good, and with it went the last of that perfectly polished 90s chic vibe. Sam Goody. Before Spotify, YouTube, or streaming services, there was Sam Goody, the ultimate destination for music lovers. If you were a teenager in the 90s or early 2000s, you probably spent more than a few Saturday afternoons digging through the racks of CDs, trying to find the latest albums or that one elusive single. It wasn't just about buying music, though. It was about the hunt. The thrill of finding that new release you had been waiting for, or stumbling upon a band you'd never heard of. Sam Goody also had movie sections, so you could walk out with a soundtrack, a film, and a few cassette tapes. But as digital music exploded, Sam Goody just couldn't keep up and ended up closing its doors for good by the early 2000s. Wet Seal. Wet Seal was the store for affordable, trendy clothing for teenage girls. It was where you went to get those low-rise jeans or oversized graphic tees that had that look. Wet Seal was all about fashion that made you feel like you belonged to the coolest crowd in high school, and it was affordable too, so it felt like a mini splurge every time you went. It's hard to forget the neon signs and the flashing lights that drew you in like a moth to a flame. But despite being a mall staple for decades, Wet Seal couldn't handle the shift towards online shopping and fast fashion giants. By 2017, it was done, and those bright, neon-lit storefronts became a thing of the past. Radio Shack. Radio Shack was like your go-to electronics expert, wasn't it? Need a new phone charger, a set of batteries, or a part to fix something? Radio Shack was the place. It was a tiny little world of gadgets, wires, and mysterious electronics. It had that smell, a mix of new plastic and metal. And every visit was like a mini adventure, trying to figure out which gizmo was the coolest. But the world of tech evolved, and people stopped going to Radio Shack. With the rise of online shopping, it couldn't keep up with stores like Best Buy, and in 2015, it filed for bankruptcy. Honestly, it felt like the end of an era when those bright red stores started disappearing. Palis Shoe Source. You knew you were about to score big when you stepped into Palis. Affordable shoes for the whole family? Check. Colorful displays filled with sandals, boots, and sneakers? Check. Palis was that store where you could grab a pair of shoes for any occasion, school, work, a casual day out, and still have money left over for a snack from the food court. Palis was the unsung hero of our childhood, but after years of struggling to compete with online retailers and other shoe giants, it filed for bankruptcy in 2019. It was a sad moment for those of us who grew up heading straight to the Palis racks for a fresh new pair of kicks. Brookstone. Brookstone wasn't just a store, it was a world of possibilities. I mean, where else could you test out a massage chair in the middle of the mall or pick up a laser-guided golf putter? The store was filled with quirky gadgets and innovative products, and it was always the go-to spot for finding a unique gift for someone, or for yourself. Walking into Brookstone was like stepping into a sci-fi store where the future was on display. Sadly, in 2018, the company filed for bankruptcy, and those futuristic gadgets and massage chairs slowly disappeared from our malls. It's just not the same without the tech toys of Brookstone. Dalton Bookseller. Before Barnes & Noble, there was B. Dalton Bookseller. If you love to read, B. Dalton was your place. It was where you found everything, from thrillers to romance to history books, and it had that comforting, familiar scent of paper and ink. It wasn't just a bookstore, it was a cozy, quiet refuge where you could browse for hours. But with the rise of giant bookstores like Barnes & Noble, B. Dalton couldn't survive, and by the early 2000s it was mostly gone from malls. Gadzooks. If you were a teenager in the 90s, Gadzooks was like your secret hideaway. It was the spot for teen fashion. The store had everything you needed to make a statement, from colorful, oversized t-shirts to baggy jeans and funky accessories. It was a place where you could express yourself and stand out, all while staying on top of the latest trends. Walking through Gadzooks felt like stepping into a world of pop culture where everything was bold, fun, and a little bit rebellious. I'll bet some of you can still remember those racks of flannel shirts and neon windbreakers. Unfortunately, like many mall favorites, Gadzooks couldn't keep up as fast fashion took over, and it was eventually absorbed into the Forever 21 brand in 2005. For many, though, the memory of Gadzooks is still alive, that rush of excitement as you dug through the racks to find the perfect outfit. Zany Brainy. Zany Brainy was the store to visit if you wanted to find something unique, quirky, and educational. It was a toy store with a twist. While they had all the usual toys, they focused on things that would spark creativity and curiosity. Remember walking through the aisles and seeing interactive toys, puzzles, and games that made you think. It was more than just a toy store. It was an experience for the mind. Do you remember those brain-teasing puzzles? Or the science kits? Zany Brainy was ahead of its time, and many parents loved it because it wasn't just about fun, it was about learning too. But as the toy market shifted, and chains like Toys R Us dominated, Zany Brainy couldn't hold on. It shut its doors in 2001, leaving a void in the mall's toy section that no one really filled in the same way. Babages. Before GameStop became the gaming mecca, there was Babages. If you were a gamer in the 90s, Babages was your place to buy video games. The store was dedicated to all things gaming, from the latest Nintendo titles to the hottest Sega games. And it wasn't just about buying, it was about discussing the games with fellow enthusiasts, comparing high scores, and exchanging tips. There was something magical about walking into Babages, scanning the shelves for that elusive game that had just come out, or getting the latest issue of Electronic Gaming Monthly. In the late 90s, Babages rebranded to become GameStop, but for many of us, the memory of Babages will always be linked to those golden days of gaming. Walden Books. Walden Books was the perfect small bookstore, a bit cozier than Borders, but still filled with all the books you could possibly want. It wasn't the biggest bookstore around, but Walden Books made up for it with character. The shelves were lined with the latest bestsellers, mysteries, and science fiction novels. It was the place you went to pick up a good book and lose yourself for a few hours. But with the rise of mega bookstores like Barnes & Noble and later online shopping, Walden Books couldn't keep pace. By the early 2010s, most of the Walden Books stores had been phased out. Still, there's something special about those small, cozy bookstores that made you feel like you were part of a community. Walden Books was one of those. Discovery Channel store. For anyone who was a fan of the Discovery Channel, this store was a dream come true. It was filled with educational toys, books, and gadgets that allowed you to explore science, nature, and history in a way that felt hands-on and fun. Whether you were into dinosaurs, space exploration, or wildlife, the Discovery Channel store had something that sparked your curiosity. The store wasn't just about toys, it was about learning. You could grab a cool science kit, a model of the solar system, or a book on marine biology and walk out feeling like you were ready to explore the world. But unfortunately, the store couldn't keep up, and it closed down in 2007, leaving a hole in the mall where science and fun used to meet. These places may be gone, but they live on in our memories. Which store do you miss the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like button if you're feeling the nostalgia too. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more trips down memory lane.